Okay, this is homework for Tuesday, March 29th. You're doing page 84 in the functions book, number 7, A through F. So in this one you need to show a lot of work. The situation is that we have 4 families and they're going to meet at Disneyland, but each family lives a different distance away from Disneyland and they all drive different miles per hour to get there. So we have the X represents our time in hours for how long they've been driving, and the Y is their distance from Disneyland. So we've seen equations like this, but some of you might get confused on how to read this equation. So the first thing we're going to do for family A is label the equation. And I want to make sure you have this in your book also. So we're going to label what each part means. So the Y is obviously the distance from Disneyland. Okay, now the 95, some of you might be confused on what that represents. The 95 represents how far they live. So how many miles they live from Disneyland. So before they even start driving, they are 95 miles away. Okay, now our negative 55 is our slope, but it means that they drive 55 miles per hour. And that's why it's negative, because they start this far away, and we're worried about the distance from Disneyland. So if they start 95 miles away and they start driving towards Disneyland, our slope is negative because they're getting closer to Disneyland. So then the X represents the hours driven. Okay, so I want to make sure you have that in your book. Now, because they gave us the equation already for A, then we need to show a table. So for family A, let's set up a short little table. The X is hours driven, and the Y is distance. So before they start driving at 0 hours, they're 95 miles away. Then after driving for 1 hour, that means they've driven 55 miles, because they can drive 55 miles in an hour. So that means they are at 40 miles, because 95 minus 55 is 40. So after 1 hour, they would only be 40 miles away. So it would take them a little more than an hour to get to Disneyland. Okay. So family B, we have a situation. We just need to write the equation for it. They say that they live 120 miles from Disneyland and they drive 60 miles per hour. So I have Y equals, they're starting 120 miles away, and then as they start driving, they do 60 miles per hour. So that's my slope. Okay, now family C, they gave us a table and we need to find the equation. So I do carets. From 80 to 5, you're going down 75. And then from 0 to 1.5, you're going up 1.5. So then I subdivide them. 75 divided by 1.5 gives me negative 50. Okay, so that means my equation is Y equals, and then my y-intercept, their starting point, is 80 miles from home. And then they subtract 50 miles per hour as they drive. Okay, so make sure you have the label over here, kind of help us understand what the equation means, and that you have the work and the equation for each family A, B, and C. Now for D is a graph, so I need to find 2 points to make a slope triangle with. And it looks like I'm going to use my y-intercept, and here those are the only like perfect 2 points. Some of you may thought you could use this one or this one, but they're not quite going through the grid lines perfectly. They're close. So I'm going to use those two and draw in my slope triangle. Okay, and do my rise and my run by looking at what the axes are counting by. So my x-axis is counting by 0.2 hours. So from 0 to here is 1 hour. 1, that's my run. And my rise, it looks like they're counting by 5. So starting here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And now I do rise divided by run. Gives me, and sorry, it's a negative 40. So the equation is y equals, their starting point is 30, 40, 45 minus 40x. So they live 45 miles away and they drive 40 miles per hour. Okay, let's look at the questions. A, which family lives the closest to Disneyland? So which one has like the smallest y-intercept? So family D was 45. They live 45 miles away. I have 80 miles away, 120 miles away, and 95 miles away. So it looks like family D lives the closest. So I'm just going to put family D. Okay, which family lives the farthest from Disneyland? So looking back at our equations, 45, 80 miles away, 120 miles away, and 95 miles away. So 120 miles away is the farthest. So that was family B. Okay, which family is traveling at the fastest speed? So now we're looking at the slope of the equation. They drive 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, and 55 miles per hour. So 60 miles per hour is the fastest for family B. And then which family is traveling the slowest speed? So which one has the lowest slope? I have 40, 50, and 55. So it looks like 40, family D, is driving the slowest. Okay, let's look at the last two questions we have to do some math with. Who will get to Disneyland first and who will get to Disneyland last? Okay, so this one I'm going to have you use the equations. And what I want to know is how long it will take each family to get to Disneyland. So how long it will take each family to have a 0 distance. So if y is my distance, I want to know how long it will take each family to have a distance of 0. So it's like we're finding the x-intercept for each equation. So I'm going to put 0 in for the equation for each family, and then I'm going to solve for x. If you didn't do that already and you think you know how to put 0, substitute 0 in for y and solve for x for each family, then go ahead and pause the video and force yourself to do it on your own. If you're not sure, you can watch me do the first one and then do the rest on your own. So I'm going to start with family A, and I want you to show all your work for each one. I'm going to do family A. In their equation, I'm going to substitute y for 0, was 0 equals 95 minus 55x. Okay, and now I'm going to solve for x. So I need to subtract 95 on both sides. I end up with negative 95 equals negative 55x. Now I need to divide by negative 55 on both sides. And I end up with 1.72 equals x. So it takes them 1.72 hours to get to Disneyland for family A. Okay, let's do family B. I'm going to substitute 0 in for their y, and their equation was 120 minus 60x. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 120 on both sides. I end up with negative 120 equals negative 60x. Divide by negative 60 on both sides. And I end up with 2 equals x. So it takes them 2 hours to get to Disneyland. Okay, let's do family C. Again, I'm going to substitute in 0. And their equation was 80 minus 50x. I would hope that if you understood what I was doing on family A, that you had paused the video and did the rest, and you're just here to check your work. Because I really want you guys to force yourself to do this alone. You're not going to learn just by watching me and copying me. So if you understand these first two and you have yet to do C and D, then pause the video now and try them on your own. And come back to check your answers. You will need to show all of this work though in order to get credit for your homework. Okay, family C, I'm going to solve for x again. Minus 80 on both sides. I end up with negative 80 equals negative 50x. Divide by negative 50 on both sides. I end up with 1.6 equals x. So it takes them 1.6 hours to get to Disneyland. And last, family D, substitute 0 in, and their equation was 45 minus 40x. So I'm going to subtract 45 on both sides. I end up with negative 45 equals negative 40x. Divide by negative 40 on both sides. And I end up with 0.75 equals x, which means it takes them less than an hour to get to Disneyland, and it's actually 40 minutes. Sorry, that's 45 minutes to get to Disneyland. Okay, so now we can answer the questions. Who will get to Disneyland first? So family A, it takes them 1.72 hours, 2 hours, 1.6 hours, 45 minutes. So family D will get to Disneyland first. Which one will arrive last? So who does it take the longest is family B. Okay, so you better show all of the work, all of this math to get credit. And I should see all of these answered, all the work on the graph and the problems, and show that you labeled your equation somewhere on your paper. Okay, see you tomorrow.